Okay. Just making sure we're rolling. Great. Okay. So, I wanted to go live today to talk about trust. Trust and other words that can be used to describe the act of trusting could be submission and surrender. And hello, if you're watching, say hello. Um, And in terms of submission, I just want to do a shout out to a woman named Anna Voigt. Anna, if I'm saying your name wrong, please let me know. Who is really brilliant at this. I'll come back to that though. Okay, so trust. What I have just realized, and it's funny because also my spiritual mentor, Doug Duncan Sensei, continually has said, complete trust. Hi, Astrid. Nice to see you. Nice to feel your presence. Says again and again and again that his teacher, when he asked him about trust, said, complete trust is complete awakening. Hi, Ava. Nice to see you here. Oh, complete trust is a complete awakening, and just a new piece in that equation landed for me just yesterday, in relationship to saying yes to a container, so a program that Anna is offering on submission. And when she talks about submission, she means listening in to higher guidance, wisdom. And there's more to that as well, but I'm going to start there, okay? So, and I had kind of been on the fence. I'd been like, well, I wasn't really on the fence. She had proposed it, and I had said, um, and she had said, and as soon as she had brought it up, really inside, I was like, okay, yeah, I think I should do this. I feel like I should do this. I think there's something in it for me. I can feel that. And my hesitancy was around like, oh, do I really want to spend the money? I'm just starting to make more money. I want to put it back to debt and money that I owe, right? Do I want to? And and then thankfully, my coaches nudged me further into. They were like, "Yes, Ruth, do it." And because I trust them very, very fully, it was okay. Yeah, all right. And in that moment of saying yes, a few things happened. The first was I realized that the act of trusting is an act of self empowerment. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? The act of trusting is an act of self empowerment. So, and here's what I mean by that. Because in the moment of my hesitation, I didn't trust, what I wasn't trusting was that I could bring in the resources in order to do that. Hi, Ellen. Yay, good to have you here. I didn't trust that I could bring in the resources easily as I needed in order to do that, right? And so that's kind of a surface level explanation, okay? But the deeper explanation is what happens when we're not trusting is that okay, when I'm not trusting, I'm not believing that in the act of giving in to the direction, whatever, of the guide, that I will be taken, that I will be okay. In any moment of control or resistance, I am not trusting that I will be fully okay if I let go of that trust, of that mistrust or that need to control in that moment, right? There's a part of me that feels like I will not be okay or okay as I want to if I take my hands off of the dial and or go along with that direction. And what we don't realize is in that very moment of trust, we are reaffirming to ourselves internally that I will be okay and more than okay. I will, okay, I just, by okay, I mean an utter sense of um, nothing is, an utter sense of wellness, that my well-being is utterly intact no matter what, right? And in any moment where we feel we need to control, where control is coming into play, we, on the other side of that control is a fear that if we give it up, we won't be okay. So in the very act of surrendering the control, we reinforce our internal message to ourselves, that I reinforce the internal message to myself that I will be okay. And that has that in itself, that act alone has impact in terms of increasing my strength and my well-being. Okay, so that's important. That's one piece I wanted to say. Okay, so, and then I wanted to speak to, yeah, okay, so any act of trust, the statement implicit in that is that my well-being is not dependent on this external piece, right? We're surrendering that control, and we are allowing ourselves to believe more deeply, and that truth to sink in more deeply, that my well-being is entirely here, right? Okay, yeah, and then I want to speak to like blind trust versus more discerning trust. So, well, and that actually any moment of trust still has that message internally to ourselves. It does. And when we can feel into the greater power that we are surrendering into, whether it's the wisdom of another or our own wisdom, because there's also the act of trusting our own wisdom. Astrid, yeah, I talked to Kimberly this morning, actually, Astrid. So one of the important ways in which we submit or surrender or trust is to trust our own internal wisdom. And not just like those brilliant moments, but again, any moment exactly as it's arising. That is a radical act, right? And this is what I feel like I trumpet nonstop, but again, because there's continual layers of internalizing it and of deepening that understanding. So, okay. So I think there was something else I wanted to say there, but I'll leave it there for now. So a really good question is to look at any moment where you are not trusting, where your hand is a little on the dial, as my teacher would say, but any moment where you are not trusting. And to look on the other side of that is, oh, it's because I don't feel strong enough in whatever situation. And we need to understand that that's a lie. We are always strong enough. We are always strong enough. We just don't believe it. We don't believe it. And so here, let me speak to what is a moment of not being strong enough, right? So any moment where we are not strong enough or don't feel that we are strong enough is a moment where we are externalizing our value onto the world or onto something external or onto us being different than we are or the moment being different than it is. So anytime we externalize, we become detached from that sense of actual perfection of the moment and myself as an integral part of that moment. My phone is talking, thinks I'm talking to it. That is the only way in which we can feel not okay. And then if we can in that moment directly realize, oh my God, I've externalized and based my value. Yeah, Ellen, that hand on the dial comes directly from my spiritual mentor, Doug Duncan. And yeah, I love it too. He talks about like, this is the ego,
These
right?
Are the top results.
He talks about, yeah, this is the ego, right? It is the need to control, and it's the need to control because we don't We don't trust what is present if we take that off. But any degree in which you can release is a life affirming and a strengthening act. So that's again why I turn it back to anybody watching, is where is there an area in your life in which you're a little bit like this? And how can you release? Oh, yay, Bridget. Okay, wonderful. Great, yay. And where can you release that grip, even just a little bit? And in that act of trusting, and this is also brings it to relationship, right? Because relationship, in particular with a significant other, is very often where we do not trust, right? And what we don't realize is as we can relax into the trusting, that opens the space for them to actually step into whatever the behavior it is that we're craving or wanting or asking for from them. But the other side of that is that we also do have to ask. So we have to ask and then we have to trust. And that's both in relationship and that's both in our lives in terms of what we want to bring in, what we want to experience. We have to ask and then we have to trust. And again, the act of trust is about recognizing that the moment exactly as it is, you exactly as you are, is sufficient, and it contains for you the seeds, all of the seeds that you need for your next place of learning. Yeah? Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. Let me just check. Oh, no, this is a good one. Okay, so it's also to look at why don't you trust? In any given situation, why don't I trust? And actually, what aren't you trusting? Right? So in in the case of this course, right, it was like, oh, what I wasn't trusting was my own ability to generate the income or the cash that I want and need, right? There's still a hair of like, I'm not sure if I can, right? Based on past experience. And yet, in the very act of trusting that I can, I reinforce my ability to do that. So that's pretty cool. So it is look deeper. When you don't trust, look deeper. What am I not trusting? And it's not even ever about the other person. It's about you. It's about what are you actually not trusting in terms of you and your own ability, right? That is crazy. And then look more deeply at that, because anything you're not trusting is not true. So so in other coaches who I have also talked about, who I'm working with, Kavita Singh, Lainey Smith, it's about naming any act of not trust is shadow. And if you can label it as that, then it starts to become, then we can start to separate out that thought process from who we are and what we are. The problem is we've grown up just infused with the messaging of our world, and we think of that as reality and as our identity. And if and as we can start to label certain belief patterns, any belief pattern relating to untrust, as shadow, then we can start to make different choices. And there's something else I wanted to say there. We can start to make different choices and laughing at myself here. Well, anyways, I'll just leave it there and I'll see what else comes. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's it. That's it. That's it for today. Okay, so thank you so much, Astrid. What amazing notes. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for everyone watching. That's awesome. I hope it has served. If you have comments, questions, please, or places where it resonates, share where this lands in your life, because that helps to actually land it, okay? Or like, oh, I get what you're saying, but it doesn't make sense here. Okay, so bring that. Okay, yeah, and thank you so much. Have beautiful days and weekend ahead, and yeah, I'll see some of you around, and if I don't, I send love and wellness. Okay, bye for now.